Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're going to be playing the new Seesaw seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which at the end of each player's turn, even-powered units get boosted by 1, whereas odd-powered units get damaged by 1. Today we're going to be playing a Northern Realms deck that has enough boosting power to either make sure that we boost every unit at the end of our turn, or even double boost some units. Let's go check it out. So today we're going to be playing a Royal Inspiration Northern Realms deck, which means that every other turn we get to boost one of our units by 1. This is going to be one of the primary ways that we make sure that our units are on even power at the end of our turn, so they get boosted rather than damaged by 1. Other than that, we focus on cards that either boost themselves or boost other cards at the end of our turn, so that when you combine that boost along with the boost from the Seesaw event when something is on even power, it gets moved up by 2 every turn, which means that it is always staying on even power and therefore always getting boosted by 2 every turn, giving us some powerful and sustainable engines. Like always, I will leave the deck list and deck link in the description, so if you want to play this deck for yourself, you got everything you need right there. So I'll flip through the deck to show you what we have here, and of course we start off with some tutors and Heatwave for removal, as well as Geralt, Donimir to defend, and Corvo is probably our primary unit to complement our leader ability, making sure that as many units as possible are on even power at the end of our turn. And Black Blood, because just about every unit that our opponent plays is going to get boosted at one point or another, is a reliable way of at least destroying something. Sometimes hard to control exactly what it's going to be, though. Then Pastodi is one of our preferred engines to get boosted, because if he's on even power at the end of our turn and is getting boosted, that means he will continue to get boosted by 2 every turn, supplying us with significant bleeding damage. And a Strenger to boost. Egmund to boost. Coen to boost, although I'm not sure how much to trust myself to get this one right. Margarita for some blocks when needed. Purification from Pellar when needed. Boost from Temerian Drummer. Kerack City Guard, in this case, rather than boosting a different unit, boosts itself by 1 every turn, so as long as this is on an even amount of power, we'll get boosted by 2 every turn. Infantry being, like Nathaniel Pastodi, another card that we want to be the target of the boost from, say, Temerian Drummer or a Strenger. If it's on even power, it'll get boosted by 2, and therefore deal 2 damage every turn, which is huge. And then we get to the bottom of our deck, where we're probably not looking to play these cards, although Redanian Knight, if it is on even power, much like the Kerack City Guard, will get boosted by 2 every turn. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, the focus is boosting ourselves such that we are on even power as often as possible to maximize the boosting from the Seesaw seasonal event. So now let's test it out. Okay, so going into Northern Realms here, and they'll go first. And I like Vysogota, although ideally we'd have Donimir to defend him. I think we can do better than the Sergeant. Part of Infantry plus Temerian Drummer, love that. Kerack City Guard also a solid engine here. Maybe we get rid of Redanian Knight. Another Tridam infantry could go along with Egmund. Okay, now this is already looking like this might be a Witcher Northern Realms deck. So let's lead off with Temerian Drummer, and we'll give it a boost, put it on an even number. And oh, okay. Thanks for locking it. Now, we do, of course, have an alternative in Egmund, although I was kind of hoping this would boost one of our Tridam infantries and this would boost the other. Though fine. Have it your way, I suppose. And don't worry, that was not a misplay. I deliberately played Egmund to the right of Temerian Drummer. I did not want to have him perpetually on an odd number. More Griffin Witcher Adepts here. This is the combo I'm looking for. Let's get Egmund on an even number here. And if they're trying to load up on as many shields as possible, then hopefully this 2 damage per turn will be a solid way of shutting that down. Then Talus might get a Warfare card that can disrupt this. Amphibious Assault. Into more Griffin Witchers. Okay, so it is a little bit preemptive here, but let's get down to Kerack City Guard. It will remain on 3 power. Until next turn when we can use a leader ability charge to get it up on an even number, then it'll get double boosted every turn. Unless they damage Tridam infantry and force us to boost him instead. How rude. And given how they use their tactic, that leads me to believe this is probably the last turn they want to take this round. Which I think means we boost Tridam infantry, get him on an even number here, and then go with Black Blood, And that way, destroy what may be one of their strongest units with that. They're gonna Yurden. Wow, that's early. That's very aggressive. And we'll lose... I didn't catch which unit that was there. Okay, now the cards that we have remaining are not necessarily cards that we particularly want to play in this circumstance. We do have Necromancy, so we could bring back Tridam Infantry even if we play him here, so I think we go with that one. Ideally, would have still saved him for potential Corvo combos in rounds 2 or 3. Because, of course, we've already played our other one. But they're going very aggressively here. That's going to bring out all the Witchers. And Heatwave on Erland gets us close here, although I'm not sure that it's quite enough. Let's give it a shot, though. It's a bit of a risk. And we'll see how exactly do our numbers line up here. They are still in the lead, but we do still have this powerful engine here. They will continue to play. And Leo is, yes, a big play at that. So they're going for all of their big cards here in round 1, it seems. And especially since all of our remaining cards are ones that we don't really have the right setup to play, I think we do pass here. Let them take round 1 and say, alright, if you wanted to use all your best cards, that should mean we're in decent shape for round 2 and 3 victory. And we got Margarita, Reinforcements, and Oneiromancy, and I like Oneiromancy here, and Reinforcements, especially if we combine that with Necromancy, could be very solid here. I'm thinking Coen is a little bit of a risk. Let's get rid of him. Pellar, potentially, if someone gets locked, but I think we'll take our chances and use Oneiromancy to get Pellar if necessary. And that being said, Kaedweni Sergeant is not great. That'll be a throwaway card if they drive past. But they don't. Okay, Griffin, Witcher, Adept. More Witchers, as one might have expected. And the tough thing here is we need to guess how aggressively are they going to play. Do we deliberately start playing some of our best cards, expecting for them to go all out here? Or do we just try to ease on by with some of our weaker cards and save the big ones for round 3? Tell you what, let's Oneiromancy, and we'll use Oneiromancy to get Amphibious Assault. And with Amphibious Assault, we'll get a Temerian Drummer. That gives us a pretty sizable boost on the Drummer. So even if this does turn into a relatively short round, that does still help us out. Going Keldar, yes, they're playing pretty aggressively here as well, it seems. So in that case, I think what we do here is we Necromancy into Tridam Infantry. That way we have this double Tridam Infantry boosting engine. And then their Amphibious Assault. Get them a Kaedweni Knight, which is a relatively big point slam, if nothing else. Okay, they're going to boost Keldar. But tell you what we're going to do next. Guess what? Bye-bye, Keldar. Then we have Temerian Drummer on odd number, so let's boost you. And we'll be good to go. Okay, target practice for more Witchers. And now Corvo will be a little bit vulnerable here, and generally you do want to play him as early as possible, so this is a little bit late. But let's use you to, say, get Margarita on even number here. At the very least, you will take some damage here. They'll pass. And so what we do here is we Reinforcements on Tridam Infantry, get another one, and then this becomes a target for Corvo. And we've already passed them. But we'll boost Margarita as well. And means that we will take round 2 here on even cards. And at this stage, I do think they have played many, if not all, of their best cards. Whereas we have both Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy, so that's great. However, neither of these guys are cards we particularly want to have in this situation. I think Strenger is much better. So I think what we do here is let's Amphibious Assault into Pastodi. And then this will become our Strenger target. Get you on an even number. And Griffin Witcher will already trigger the Adrenaline 3, right? So this will be a relatively large chunk of damage. But conveniently, you do get us back on an even number, and you realize you can't catch us. They forfeit. Okay, so go get some monsters here, and they'll go first. Okay, and I like Donimir plus Vysogota of Corvo. We have actually 3 boosters right now, but we don't really have a Tridam infantry to be the target of said boost, although we have Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy, so we can get them out. And we have the Lock and, well, Sergeant, maybe we dump you and get some removal with Heatwave. Sure. I think Redanian Knight's probably weakest in this case. And Sergeant's not great. Okay, and they may be going Thrive, which is interesting. I wonder how much they can make sure that they have those cards on an even number to experience the boost. Let's get Donimir out here, and then we'll follow up with Vysogota after that. The Jaeger, very early. So we'll, of course, trigger Thrive, although normally you'd build up more gradually to using big cards like Jaeger. So let's go Vysogota next. Then put Donimir on an even number. Wild Hunt Rider, you do have dominance. Is that really why you played Jaeger so early? Now let's go Temerian Drummer here. Let's get you boosted up. And we'll also get Donimir back on an even number, although, tell you what, I think somebody's going to be an odd number here. Let's maybe make that Donimir, I suppose. Lose the shield this turn, so be it. Okay, Arcgeth for the Frost. It's going to make it harder to have our cards on the numbers we want to have them on. But now I think we go Amphibious Assault into Tridam Infantry. That'll give it a sizable boost here, but we want to make sure it's on an even number, so let's do that. Then with our spare boosts, let's make Donimir on an even number as well. And then I think we'll save our remaining one. Okay, now this is concerning. Wild Hunt Bruiser probably is going to move, Donimir. That means Corvo will get destroyed, so that was very well played on their part. And I think what we'd like to do here is let's use Oneiromancy to get ourselves another engine, namely Kerack City Guard. So I like this combo we have going on in the melee row. Deliberately going to row split just so that we are less of a row stacker, but then again, that does mean that we're taking more damage from Frost. And they pass. And this is interesting, because all of our cards are on an even number here, so we will get a lot of boosts, but I don't think it's quite enough to pass them here. For that reason, I think we do need to play at least something, and I think Kaedweni Sergeant is just enough, although admittedly, my mental math might be a little bit wrong here, so we're hoping that will do the trick. And absolutely, after they take all that damage, I would think. They lost Jaeger, in which case, did we even need to play Kaedweni Sergeant? I think we did, otherwise they wouldn't have had their turn at all, and they wouldn't have taken the damage and destroyed Jaeger. Okay, so we did play one more card than them in that previous round, so we may very well dry pass here. And if we're prepping for round 3 in that case, then we have a couple of good boosters, but we need some targets for those boosts, and we could probably make that happen with Oneiromancy and Amphibious Assault, so this might be fine here. So let's do that dry pass. I'll just throw away an Nathaniel Conqueror. Okay, and we got Pastodi, which is a good target for those boosts, so I like that. Redanian Knight can work by itself, although it's probably still not our best engine. Necromancy we could get back, Tridam Infantry, which I'm thinking is probably what we do to get ourselves another one of those targets. Or we could even bring back Temerian Drummer instead. So let's dump you, and let's dump you. And then we get a Tridam Infantry. Okay, then we may bring back Temerian Drummer in that case. Oberon is big. That gets you an Nathaniel Conqueror. So this is not Thrive at the moment. It's looking more pure Wild Hunt-ish. And what I'd like to do here is get Anna Strenger down. I'm not going to boost her. That way, Seesaw will boost her. And on her next turn, we'll boost her into a 6, assuming she doesn't get damaged, in which case she'll be boosting on both sides consistently. Although you're gonna give bleed, which does complicate matters considerably. Okay, but I think at least at this stage what we can do is we can Royal Inspiration on Enna Strenger, get her up to an even number here. Then let's play Tridam Infantry on this side of her, where she will definitely boost him, regardless of whether or not she's inspired. And she will actually stay on an even number here, so that's huge. Okay, now what are you going to play? More Ardgeth. I guess you didn't keep your Echoed Copy in your hand, strangely enough. But we're still on even numbers here, so this does work well for us. So I think what we do here is we go Necromancy into our other Tridam Infantry, put this on the other side of Enna Strenger, and this is the combo I was looking for. This is a pretty nasty engine. And they will try to get rid of Enna Strenger here, or at least deal a lot of damage to her. They do have dominance, because they're tied with the strongest unit here. It's unfortunate, so she's definitely no longer inspired. So that means that Tridam Infantry on this side will get double boosted, whereas this one will not. But we can do something about that. Instead of relying on Enna Strenger for the double boost, we will use Egmund to boost the leftmost Tridam Infantry. And at this stage, we actually don't want to use our leader ability, because everyone's on an even number. Okay, Kerack, what are you going to make? This could be very dangerous. Okay, yeah, it's a Akashi. So, we could banish the Akashi, but remember, they're just creating a copy of it. They still have one in their hand. We do also have Black Blood, which could eliminate something. So I think what we do this time round is let's use Margarita to lock this Akashi. And then maybe the next one that they play from their hand, their quote-unquote real Akashi, we'll use Heatwave on. Let's get Enna Strenger up to a 4. Okay, now here is the real Akashi. And then they'll play their leader ability to trigger that Thrive there. So let's get rid of the Akashi here. Okay, now go fair into what? The Beast, which, yeah, there are certainly higher units out there. And I think what we do now is very simple. Amphibious Assault into Temerian Drummer, and we get another one of these engines set up. Because we have you on an even number as well, so you'll get double boosted here. Let's deliberately get Tridam Infantry on an even number here, but now Enna Strenger is going to get boosted at the end of our turn, so this is no longer the perfectly optimized engine it once was. Okay, Noon Wraith. We'll trigger some Thrives here, I believe. At least one. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Oneiromancy and go with reinforcements, create another Temerian Drummer, and preemptively put one here for Pastodi next turn. Okay, Goliath is big, so we'll trigger a Thrive. So I'll tell you what we're actually going to do here. We're not going to go with Pastodi yet, which means he's not going to have much time to do his thing. But we're going to go with Black Blood because we want to make sure that has enough time to trigger here. So this will remove something. And let's put Royal Inspiration on this Tridam Infantry again. Okay, Osrel, you do have a Yigurn to consume. That does mean that card will get destroyed right here by Black Blood. So thanks, but no thanks. Shutting off their last card there. And that means we already have the win here, but we'll play Nathaniel Pastodi for good measure. And I suppose, sure, throw on some damage as well, because why not? And there we go. Okay, so going into Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. And let's get rid of Kaedweni Sergeant here. Love Tridam Infantry. And then maybe Redanian Knight, we dump you as well. And another Tridam Infantry. Okay, and they may be going Witchers here, based on this Griffin Witcher we're looking at right now. So let's go Temerian Drummer first. Boost you to get you on even number. And then that means Boiling O is not quite enough to take it out, although, of course, you do have that additional damage coming from the Griffin Witcher. Then again, we can give this an attempt number 2 with Amphibious Assault, which means that we will get a significant boost on said Temerian Drummer. Now they're going to get out their own Tridam infantry, okay. And let's do this. Get ourselves back on even number, and this is going to be a little tricky here, because our Tridam infantries are going to continue dealing damage to one another, and it's going to be hard to manage, okay, how do we make sure we're on even number here? They're going for the combo we're going for, just with Egmund, rather than a Temerian Drummer. Now, of course, you technically do want to play Egmund in the melee row. We'll still do the boosting, which is the primary thing they're looking for. And if we don't like how this Tridam infantry is on an odd number here, we could even play our other Tridam infantry, which would, of course, get played as 4. And we have Necromancy in hand, so that means in round 2 or 3 we could bring one of them back, so we don't need to worry too much about playing them all here. So, you know what? I think we do it. Then they're going Kerack Frigate, who's also on an even number, of course. And at least at the moment, if we give Tridam Infantry a boost here, we'll go back up to a 6. We'll lose this Tridam Infantry, which actually is not a terrible thing, because we could even bring it back this round with Necromancy if we wanted to. So I think I'm okay with that. I'll tell you what we could do. We could even Oneiromancy into Anna Strenger here, put her in between these two Tridam infantries. That will keep this one alive. Oh, it will not keep that one alive. I was going to say, not entirely sure what the order of operations is there. So I was taking a risk, hoping that that might have worked out. It did not. However, the other thing is that this will now double boost Tridam infantry, which normally is not a good idea, because that makes it much harder to keep them on an even number, because boost from this, then boost from Seesaw means 3 boosts per turn. Now, that was just rude, coming from Philippa there, especially because she gets destroyed at the end of your turn with Seesaw. But at this stage, it's looking awfully difficult for us to catch up here. I think even if our opponent were to pass on their next turn, giving us 2 additional cards to play, I don't think that's enough for us, so let's pass. And of course means they'll take round 1. And in that case, that means if they are to drive past, we want to make sure we have a throwaway card, which we don't necessarily have here outside of potentially Pellar. Or, not Love and Coen. Or Donimir here. I mean, the future use, yes, absolutely. But, okay, now they're going for it. It's rather rude, if you ask me, going for the 2-0 here when they know we have a card advantage. It's like, what, you don't think we can handle this? In that case, let's go with the Kerack City Guard here. Let's give it a boost from Royal Inspiration. That will get it up to a 6 at the end of this turn. So it's enough if they do follow up with a pass, but they aren't going to. They're going Radovid's Royal Guards, which if they play in the range row, which I think they are, does mean they will now get boosted and put it on an even number. Okay, so I think what we do here is let's use Margarita and use her to lock the frigate. That way they can no longer bring in additional 2 power volunteers, which will get boosted at the end of their turn. Or Griffin Witchers, which they'll boost. And I think we go another Kerack City Guard here. Now that we have our Royal Inspiration charge back, meaning we can put this on an even number, make sure it gets double boosted every turn. They're going to damage it, put it back on an odd number. And Siege Tower actually can be very good if you deliberately don't trigger the crew ability, because that means it will be on an even number, we'll get a boost every turn, and combine that with Seesaw, and it'll get double boosted. So it's sort of similar to what we have going on with Kerack City Guard here. Although I believe, did the random Griffin Witcher damage hit Kerack City Guard and turn it back to an even number when we didn't have our leader ability, so we weren't going to be able to do that ourselves? Thank you. Alright, at this stage, let's Necromancy into Temerian Drummer in order to keep Margarita double boosted here. So that means it's going to be, I would think, awfully difficult for them to catch up to us. And they're going to Margarita of their own on who? Probably Temerian Drummer, right? Yeah. Okay, well, joke's on you. Because if we Egmund here, we can do the same thing with a veiled unit that you cannot lock. And we'll make sure you're on an even number. Okay, now they have Donimir. But, what are they trying to block? And I'd like to save Amphibious Assault. I'd like to save Donimir as well, to tell you the truth. So although he's not a great play here, I think I'm going to go with Nathaniel Pastodi just out of necessity. So I think we just need a little bit of points here, because we're going to have a bunch of double boosting happening already. And they're playing this last card here. What is it? It's a Heatwave. Okay. They remove a lot of strength here. Okay, well, in that case, let's Donimir just for the point slam. And then we'll boost somebody to keep them on an even number here. And I'm not entirely sure how these numbers are going to add up. At least, as of right now, it looks like we will be able to pass here, but let's make sure, after Seesaw takes effect, that that will still be the case. And in fact, they forfeit because they realize their hubris came back to bite them. Okay, so go against Northern Realms here, and we'll go first. And we have Corvo, plus Oneiromancy and Amphibious Assault, which is definitely nice. Now, we'd like to have a target for our boosting, but we can make that happen between some of these tutors, because we just have all the boosters in the world. In which case, now we have a decent amount of removal as well. Maybe we even deliberately get rid of somebody here that's a booster, and Donimir helps protect Corvo, so I think we'll take that. In fact, let's begin with Donimir here. Get him on an even number. And they have Redanian Knight, which is a card that is also solid in this seasonal event, assuming you can get it up to an even number here. Which they will after it takes the damage. Now let's get Corvo down. And we can make sure that Donimir is still on an even number. Now, of course, he is now destroyable by something like a Geralt of Rivia. Could even use tactical advantage on Corvo just to get him a little bit higher up here. Also puts him on an even number. Okay, interesting. That may be one of the only times I've ever seen someone play that card. Now let's go Temerian Drummer. And let's get some people on even numbers, including Vysogota. More Lyrian Cavalry. Really? Okay, now I think we go Amphibious Assault into Tridam Infantry, because this is the combo we really want here, is to get Tridam Infantry double boosted between Seesaw and the Temerian Drummer. Just need to make sure the Tridam Infantry is on an even number in that case, as well as many other people as we can make happen. And they're going to get down another Redanian Knight. Now, they're playing low provision cost units, so they are potentially saving up for something big. But at least as of right now, things are looking pretty strong for us. We could even Oneiromancy into a Kerack City Guard. This being another unit that'll get double boosted as long as it's on an even number, which we can now make happen. In fact, we have boosts to spare here. In which case, let's make you a little bit higher. Okay, Rivian Pikemen, again, not exactly the strongest of units. So I think we have a strong enough lead here that I'm willing to pass. They're going to try to deal damage to... I mean, that's not enough to do it in one turn. Not nearly enough. But they're still playing. And this is looking rather odd, because at this point, they have just about zero chance of catching us in round one, and possibly even at this stage for the rest of the game, given how large of a card disadvantage they're going to have here. Because remember, we're getting double boosted on Tridam Infantry and Kerack City Guard, and that means double damaging from Tridam Infantry, although now they've put Tridam Infantry on an odd number. It's not generating quite as much every turn. And I don't think they played a gold unit that entire time. So we take round one with a humongous card advantage. And we get our echoed copies of Oneiromancy and Amphibious Assault, plus Kerack City Guard. Have Necromancy, which we could use to bring back some of the engines we were using in the previous round, which is an intriguing thought. And then Pellar, well, may not really be necessary here. So let's try to, get Temerian Drummer, maybe use Necromancy on a Tridam infantry. I think that works well. And given our huge card advantage here, I think we absolutely will go for the 2-0 victory. So let's deliberately say go for Temerian Drummer first here. And use our leader ability to get it on an even number. Okay, Blue Stripes Commando, were they trying to set up Blue Stripes Commandos? I mean, they didn't really do anything to set that up in round 1, so that's a little strange. Very odd timing on Lyrian Scytheman as well. So now what I'd like to do is go Necromancy into Tridam Infantry. So now we have the, again, double boosting and therefore double damaging for Tridam Infantry. Kerack City Guard is strong if you can give it a boost, although you've used all your leader ability charges, so you can't. And that means we can do the same, but better. And that's not going to be enough either, I don't think, especially if you play in the range row, not going to get the chance to use that order ability. So they do get a sizable chunk of boosts at the end of that turn there, but I mean, we could play Black Blood, and that might even be enough by itself. Getting rid of one of their cards there, and yes, we have passed them. So that means we'll take the 2-0 victory. So there's a look at a Northern Realms deck that uses the Seesaw event to boost itself out of this world. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.